In all the above quotes, Ibn Abdul Wahhab makes it clear that a necessary part of sound faith is to show hatred and enmity to the people of shirk. Of course, what he means by people of shirk are those Muslims who do not accept his definition of shirk. He writes, "The description of disbelief in Tawhid. It is to believe in the falsehood of worshipping anything besides Allah, to abandon it, to hate it, to declare those who worship it as disbelievers, and to oppose them. The meaning of faith in Allah is to believe that Allah is the only true deity to be worshipped without associating anyone with him, and to dedicate all types of worship exclusively to Allah alone. It also means rejecting all worship of anyone other than him, loving those who are sincere to Allah, allying with them, hating the people of polytheism, and opposing them. This is the way of Ibrahim, which anyone who turns away from has indeed made a fool of themselves." When you understand that Ibn Abdul Wahhab teaches how all the Muslims who don't accept his teachings are actually kafir mushriks, that helps you to understand how so many of the followers of Ibn Abdul Wahhab are extremely harsh against their fellow Muslims. This is exactly why the focus of the Salafi sectarians is on interrogating other Muslims, subjecting them to Aqidah checks, and then denouncing them. Meanwhile, they don't show a fraction of this energy against the actual enemies of Islam. This Khariji attitude didn't just come out of nowhere. This is coming straight out of Ibn Abdul Wahhab's teachings, including in his famous Kitab, al-Tauhid. When you put all the pieces of Ibn Abdul Wahhab's takfir doctrine together, the auto takfir, the chain takfir, and the requirement to show enmity towards mushriks, it becomes very disturbing to read what Ibn Abdul Wahhab says in his Kitab al-Tauhid. The fans of Kitab al-Tauhid challenge people to point to anything mistaken in the book, but the most shocking thing he says is this. Among them is the statement of the Prophet ﷺ, "Whoever says La ilaha illallah and disbelieves in what is worshipped besides Allah, his wealth and blood are protected and his account is with Allah." This is one of the most significant clarifications of the meaning of La ilaha illallah, for it does not make the mere utterance of it sufficient to safeguard one's wealth and blood, nor merely understanding its meaning along with the utterance, nor even acknowledging its truth. It does not suffice, even if one does not call upon anyone besides Allah, associating no partners with him. Rather, one's wealth and blood are not safeguarded until one adds to this the act of disbelieving in whatever is worshipped besides Allah. If one is doubtful or hesitant, then their wealth and blood are not protected. Oh, what an issue of great magnitude and immense significance this is. What a great clarification and definitive argument against any disputer. Ibn Abdul Wahhab is claiming here that if someone declares the Shahada and accepts it with all his heart, and at the same time refrains from worshipping anyone except Allah, this is not enough to make you a Muslim. To be a Muslim, one has to go the extra step of disbelieving in whatever is worshipped besides Allah. What's problematic about this is, as we saw from his other statements, he claims istighatha is clear-cut shirk. So to be a Muslim, you must disavow istighatha and takfir its practitioners. Otherwise, not only are you not a Muslim, but Ibn Abdul Wahhab thinks you can be killed, your property taken, and your wife and children taken as slaves. This, of course, means that offensive jihad needs to be fought against you. This is why Kitab al-Tauhid is actually a very subversive work. When the average Muslim reads it, it sounds pretty good. Ibn Abdul Wahhab is going hardcore against shirk and the mushriks, and you think, yeah, this sounds really good. I guess Ibn Abdul Wahhab really hates Abu Jahl. I can get on board with that. But if you read it with the understanding that when Ibn Abdul Wahhab refers to the mushriks and how their blood is halal, he's actually referring to like the Ottoman scholars in Syria and the Mufti of Mecca and Medina and other Muslims around the world, then it's like, what? What the heck is going on here? This is way too far. But this is ultimately the whole point of Ibn Abdul Wahhab's Aqidah, to justify hatred and to justify war against other Muslims. This is pure Kharijism. When Salafi sectarians demand that all Muslims have to study Aqidah, they don't mean go study a traditional book of Aqidah like Aqidah Tahawiyah. They mean, have you studied Kitab al-Tauhid? Whoever doesn't study and doesn't accept everything in Kitab al-Tauhid, that person is deemed a kafir mushrik. And as Ibn Abdul Wahhab says in Kitab al-Tauhid, it is a foundation of Islam to takfir such people, fight them, and show enmity towards them. This is exactly why the so-called Aqidah bros on social media are so sectarian and so harsh against other Muslims. They're just following the directions of Ibn Abdul Wahhab. When they give Muslims Aqidah checks and Aqidah tests and demand, "What's your Aqidah, bro?" what they're actually asking is, have you studied Kitab al-Tawhid? And do you accept all of it? If the answer is no, then expect to be boycotted, ridiculed, smeared, maybe even takfired. This is what Ibn Abdul Wahhab's da'wah in the present day amounts to under the guise of learning Aqidah.